Well, baby, I'm on it with a bottle of wine and an old dirt road. Are you ready to go? Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Live Music Nation podcast. I'm your host, Jake Gill. This morning we are with Rita Sommers. Am I saying that right?
You are?
All right, with the Lakewood Cultural Center in Lakewood, Colorado. Thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your background? Where'd you come from?
I born and raised in Denver, and Lakewood is a suburb of Denver. I was actually born and raised in Lakewood. Okay. So back working not far from where it all started. My background is in the arts. I grew up in a very musical family and had a love of theater at an early age. And so I started as a performer, as an actor in plays and musical theater. And then worked in summer theaters and small theater companies in the Rocky Mountain West for a little while, and then kind of fell into stage management and production management and company management, and did that for a number of years, and then got into arts administration through the door of fundraising. I answered a blind ad in the newspaper back in the days when you could get a job out of the newspaper for an entry-level fundraising position with a small nonprofit arts company. And so through that, learned, the arts administration side of things just by doing. And then eventually became the executive director of that company, and then have been doing executive director operations kind of work since then.
What was the switch for you? Why the change of direction from actress to the administration side?
Well, there were a couple of things. One, my strength as an actor was as a character actress. And at that time, nobody needed a 20-something-year-old to play a 50-something-year-old, because there were 50-something-year-olds to do that. And so, in terms of playing more age-appropriate characters, it was a very certain kind of character for me. And so I wasn't getting steady work. And so went into the production side of things, which was more steady work, but super, super long hours. And so then just thought, I'm just going to try something on the other side. I also had a theater professor say to me, one of these days you should run your own company. And so, I kind of followed that advice. Maybe.
What were the qualities that he saw at you in an early age that made him say that to you?
I would say I have very good interpersonal skills. I'm very good with people. I manage conflict well, and have a good sense of managing logistics and operational kinds of things, how to get things and people organized and moving forward. I'm a pretty strong leader, and good communication skills, and just kind of a good sense. And I think the other side of that is, I think it's really important, helpful, but also really important for people who are interested in arts administration, to get, and whether that's in music or theater or whatever it may be, to have some experience on the performance and production side of things. Because as an administrator, it's very easy to say, well, we're just not going to we're not going to build costumes for this show. We're just going to pull them out of wardrobe. Well, do you know what's in the wardrobe? It may not work for this show, And so I think that balance of having been understanding the performance side, the production side, the operations side, really helps me be successful as an arts administrator.
Yeah, so it sounds like your next decade, you need to be a tour manager for us. That's great. You have all the skills that we're looking for.
There is that. I haven't done that. I have not been a tour manager.
Tell us a little bit about the Cultural Center. What type of activities do you have there? What type of performances are you guys hosting right now?
Sure. The Lakewood Cultural Center is a municipal venue. So it is owned and operated by the city of Lakewood, which, as I'd mentioned, is a suburb of Denver. It was built in 1998-99 and opened in 2000 as a part of the new Lakewood Civic Center complex. So we're right across a plaza from City Hall and finance and planning and PD is across the street, all that kind of thing. And it was built really with a lot of input from the community about what they wanted in an arts center and a cultural center. So we have a 320 seat theater. It's a full-size stage with a small house. So it's really a lovely place to see performances and for performers to perform.
Okay.
We have four classroom spaces, and 3 art gallery spaces.
Oh, very cool.
And so it's truly a cultural center. We don't just do performances. We have a lot of arts-based classes for youth and adults that run year-round. Very popular classes fill quickly. And then the curated gallery spaces are both local, regional, and national artists, and the shows change. We have one gallery that is specifically for self-exhibiting artists from the local area. And then in the theater, 95% of what happens in the theater it's rentals from area arts organizations.
Okay.
We do have one right now in the theater. There's a production company that tours plays and musicals nationally, and they typically rent our theater every August for a run of one of their productions. But so it's mostly rentals that we do, and that was part of the design of the cultural center, was to provide a high quality venue with production support for local and regional arts organizations to do their thing. So then the other 5% of the business is probably the most fun part of my job, which is the Lakewood Cultural Center Presents series, which is a performing arts series of international and national touring artists in all kinds of disciplines. Classical music, chamber music, jazz, some theater, dance, world music, just all kinds of things, of some family programming. We do in a regular season, which we're getting back to before things got shut down in 2020. We were running in that series, we were running about 15 to 18 performances between September and April or May. So it's a pretty small series. But overall in the Cultural Center, everything combined, we have over 200 performances a year here.
How do you select the ones for your series? What's that selection process look like?
So that selection process is there's a couple things that inform the rep for the series. One is keeping in mind what distinguishes the programming at the Lakewood Cultural Center in the Present series from other similar venues in the metro area who are also doing similar kind of programming. We can all step on each other's toes pretty fast. And so the niche that the Cultural Center seems to have is one that is based in arts that are ultimately classically based.
Okay.
So we're looking for, so there's that combined with things that artists and performances that our audience can't easily see someplace else. So we tend to not book a lot of local performers in the Present series, not because they aren't good. They're very good.
Right.
But you can go to another venue and see those artists.
Sure.
When we do work with local artists, it's usually in a collaboration that helps each of us do something we can't accomplish alone, or that would be difficult to accomplish alone. So for instance, we do collaborate each year with a local musical theater company to include a musical in the Present season. That allows that company to do a larger show because we help support some of the production costs. And it helps me put a musical on the theater, on the performance season. So it's kind of a win-win in that regard. So we don't do a lot of local collaborations, but unique projects, things that, like I said, help both organizations achieve their goals, and something that isn't going all over the metro area or all over the region. Gotcha.
So you've talked about some of the advantages of your facility and how it intertwines. What are some of the challenges that you guys face?
I think some of the challenges that we face, one is our patron base in general for the Cultural Center tends to be ticket price sensitive.
Okay.
So a $40 ticket is a lot, or
Hmm.
$45 ticket is a whole lot. And
Sure.
so that in the present series, when we're trying to, we need to cover our costs
Yep.
for presenting all these artists. It makes it challenging to manage the performance fees and and production costs around those things. As you know, like everything else, those costs are going up.
Sure.
Audience is price sensitive, so I am a little bit challenged because I feel like my range for artists in terms of the fees is
Hmm.
starting to get a little bit smaller. So I'm going to have to get a little more creative in terms of how, I work with other partners in the area for block booking and that sort of thing. But I think managing that ticket price sensitivity against
Hmm.
cost of doing business is getting increasingly challenging. Another challenge that we have is um, the our book of business with so many rentals in it, the public doesn't distinguish between what is the Lakewood Cultural Center and what is another company putting on a performance here. It's all the Lakewood Cultural Center. And we don't really curate those rentals in terms of saying, oh, that's a great show, we'd like you to have us rent our theater. And they're responsible for their own marketing by and large.
Gotcha.
So that messaging can be very challenging in terms of helping people understand, um, just helping them direct their feedback,
Sure.
pros and
Yeah.
cons, to the right
Yeah.
source,
Yeah.
without sounding like, hey, it's not our problem, because we want people to have a wonderful experience here at the Cultural Center, regardless of whether they're paying.
Do you have a final veto if somebody wants to rent your facility? Are you open to any and every production, or is there some guidelines that you have?
We're pretty much open to things. I mean, it all, things, this is a public space,
Mhm.
supported through public dollars. So all of those things apply. We don't limit content beyond, the scope of basic decency
Okay.
kinds of things.
Yeah.
That's really it. And then the other thing that sometimes happens is, you know, um, the way our venue operates, we want to make sure that we can support any rental or any production or event that's coming into our theater. And sometimes we get rentals from folks who want to use our theater more like an event space, and it
Mhm.
really doesn't work. So if we can't support their production appropriately to
Sure.
have them be successful and have the audience have a good patron experience, then sometimes we'll decline a rental if it's just not a good fit for our space.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Very good. Very good. Cool. Well, thank you for that information, because that is, you're in a little different spectrum in
Yeah,
what we usually have been conversing back and forth. A lot of nonprofit theaters,
yeah,
a lot of for-profit event theaters, where you're kind of in the middle
yeah.
uh, of that for sure. Very good. Rita, let's have some fun this morning. What's your all-time favorite show that you've ever seen?
My all-time favorite show that I've ever seen. Wow. I didn't even give some thought to questions like that. All right. I'm just going to grab a few things here. I'm maybe going down the line of memorable.
Okay.
Um, I would say I'm going to go music,
Okay.
and I'm going to go way back to the Eurythmics at Red Rocks Amphitheater.
Wow.
It was a rainy, stormy night, and everything was on hold. The place is packed out with 10,000 people. Everybody's wearing trash bags, and stop. Hold, and it would pause, and the rain would pause, and we think we'd be getting going, and no, hold again. And so out of nowhere, I mean, the stage was dark. It was kind of spritzing, it was drizzly and stuff. And we thought,
Sure.
I don't know, maybe this whole thing's going to get called. Out of nowhere, you start hearing the intro to Here Comes the Rain Again, that Eurythmic song.
Hmm.
Familiar at all? And it just starts very faint and comes in, and whammo, there she was. Lights on, we were rolling. It was the most
That's awesome.
amazing start to a concert that I've ever seen. It was fantastic.
Oh, very cool. How many shows have you seen at Red Rocks?
How many shows have I seen at Red Rocks? Probably all together, um, don't know, 15 or 20. It's not a lot. It's a big venue. And it is a great place to see all kinds of things. I've seen classical music there,
Sure.
film, country artists, rock artists, all kinds of stuff. It's the last time I was there, I didn't have a great experience, so I'm a little loath to go back again. I've been going to like a fiddler's table.
That happens. Give me one artist, dead or alive, past or present, that you could bring in to the Lakewood Cultural Center for a performance. Who would you bring in? Dead or alive?
Dead or alive. Who would I bring? Frank Sinatra.
There you go. That is the third Frank Sinatra that we have heard this week. There's something in the Midwest with that. I'm going to call you guys Midwest. There's something in the Midwest with that allure, and I don't know for sure what it was. We've heard in the past, we've heard Elvis a lot. We've heard different bands like the Who or maybe the Eagles or something like that. But lately, I don't know if it's just what it is, but there's something about Sinatra keeps coming up. Through there. So that's awesome. Rita, thank you for your time today. Thank you for your knowledge and your input. How do people find you and the Cultural Center online?
People can find the Lakewood Cultural Center at lakewood.org/cultural center.
Very good.
That gets you to our programming and to our staff.
Very good. Well, thank you for joining us today, Rita. I appreciate it. And you guys have a great week.
Thanks so much.
Well, baby, I'm on it with a bottle of